I first off just want to kick in now. I know there are some latecomers that are coming in, but I want to just kick off to start off. So first off by saying congratulations, and thank you for investing the time in your business. To you could easily be watching TV or spending time with your family or your friends, and yet you're taking some time out now to invest in you and in your business. And I treat that very seriously. I once had a wise man, a mentor of mine, say to me, you can go and spend your money and lose it and you can make it back again. But you go and you invest your time. If you don't get value for that, then it's lost forever. And my goal, or my major plan is to make sure that today I give you absolute tremendous value today, so you get a lot out of it. Just a few little logistics for those people that are online. I actually have everyone on mute. So the purpose of that is that unless you've got a headset, it makes it really difficult for everyone else to hear. And also if I need to, if there's any background noise, just makes this webinar difficult to actually hear as well. So I've got you on mute. If anyone's got any questions though, if you've got any things on there, what I'd say is, if you can just pop your, you can pop in the bottom section down there where it says questions. You can type a question and I can see those questions. If there's something that's really relevant for everyone else, what I'll do is I'll bring it online. You can ask the question as well. But if you go down the bottom, you look at the go-to webinar control panel, and there is little blue lines, and one of them says questions. So you can pop your questions in there, and I'll do what I can to answer those questions you're going through. And I'm big on getting feedback from you. So if there's any questions you got or anything doesn't make sense, please let me know. So here we go today. Today, guys, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how you can double the cash at bank. In other words, the money that's in your bank account without having to make a single extra sale. So that's the game today. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to unpack a lot of the mystery in the financial side of business, and how you can take control of business instead of it controlling you. And just to give you a little bit of my background, I've got a lot of friends and family on board that are on here, and colleagues. We've got people from Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, g'day Brad, right up Mackay, Townsville, Saxon, Brisbane as well. So we've got people spread around everywhere. So I'm really stoked that you're spending the time, investing the time for you to learn a lot. So my background, for those who don't know, was originally I trained as a dentist, and I racked up over a few years 5 tertiary qualifications, 3 which were clinical and 2 which were business. So I did advanced diploma in business and a financial planning diploma. My goal was, I was aiming to learn more about business, when I realised that most of the lecturers didn't know much about business, and that's why they were lecturing. So I've spent a journey and spent well over $400,000 over the last decade or so, learning from the masters and the best people in the world. And I started my first business when I was 15, and I was running a little bingo hall, and I've been in and out of businesses ever since, and I absolutely love it. Every day of the week, I'm in the business trenches with small and medium-sized business owners, so I'm seeing what's going on. I'm at the coalface. I'm not out there lecturing and saying here's all the things that could be done. I'm actually seeing and getting firsthand all the info. So what today is a summarization of a lot of the key points as far as the literacy, the financial literacy of how to take control of your business. So that's what we're going to do today. Should be good fun, so I'm looking forward to it, and I've got some exciting stuff to share with you, and particularly right at the end, I've got some really cool things on how you can, I'll show you right at the end some things on how you can actually make that extra cash without making extra sales. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cover 3 things. I'm going to set the scene and why it's so important that you need to know more now than ever before in history, how you need to know how the financial side of your business actually runs. The next thing I'm going to go through the 3 master dials. Now this is the foundation for a businessman, and it's the bulk of what we're going to go through today. Then the third thing is the 5 cash generating levers. When you're stuck, when you're feeling stressed, when you're trying to go, how do I get more cash at bank? where's my go-to? So I'm going to show you the 5 go-tos on that, and that's the bit at the end there. I'm going to show you how you can get that cash and extra cash in bank without making a single extra sale. So that's what we're going to be covering today, guys. Let's get stuck into it. So let's set the scene. Why should you be looking at this? Why is this something that's important? Well, here's what's happening right now. What you'll see is, and this is something I just pulled out. This is, if you look at the date on here, it's the 28th of August, so it's only a few weeks ago. And as it said in the title here, corporate insolvencies reach worst rate in over a decade. Now, when you look at that there, you're thinking, what's that all about? And I've just blown up the next page on that. Oh, sorry, I've blown up the section on there. It was a bit hard to read. And what it says is, Australian corporate insolvencies have reached their worst point in recent history, with more than 900 businesses collapsing and gone into external administration. And that's not just for the year, that's for the month of June. That's for 1 month, which is absolutely staggering. So we've had a change of government, and there's been a huge positive spin on that, and people are much more happy about it. But here's the truth. There's going to be a lot more roadkill. There's going to be a lot more businesses that are going to go out of business over the next coming months. And how do I know that? This is an important diagram for you to know. Most people don't realize where we are actually in the economic wave and the economic cycle. We had a GFC, which is a major downturn. We've had a bit of a bounce back, and then there's a market lag. So if you look over the last couple of years, we've been in a lag. And if you look at what's happening in Europe as well, it's even in the US, it's even more distinctive. The thing to remember is that we've been fortunate in Australia because we've had a big mining boost, which has meant that our plateau, our downturn has been a lot smaller. But let me be totally clear with you. If you're expecting everything to be beers and skittles and having fun from here going forward because we're going to change the government and everything, well, then I hope this is the one thing you get from this, that there are some more difficult times to come. Now, all the people that I know, and I spend a lot of my time overseas and with a lot of amazing world leaders in business, is that period should be fairly, that dip here should be fairly minimal. And when I say minimal, it might be only a couple of years. And that couple of years is what's going to be the difference between the businesses that succeed and the ones that don't. When you look at where we are economically, everything goes in cycles, everything goes in and has a flow. What a lot of people, when they look at it, I ask them, what season do you think we're in? So just take for a moment. Are we in summer, spring, autumn, or winter? And I've already given you a little bit of a heads up of where I think we're at. Or not, I think I know. Is that some people tell me they're in spring, some people say that they're economically we're in autumn, and I've had a few people say we're in summer. I'm doing a lot of presentations at the moment, particularly for Westpac Bank. And I've been very, very shocked and surprised that almost no one has been saying that, or not no one, but minimal, 15% are saying we're in the economic cycle of winter. Let me be totally clear with you. We are most definitely in the economic cycle of winter. And in winter, that's where a lot of businesses go bankrupt. And we've just seen that in the statistics that in June alone, there were 900 companies that have gone into insolvency. So what's important to know is that we don't need to make the road. We don't need to go, oh, woe is me, things are all bad. What we need to know is, we also don't need to do the opposite and go, oh, everything's going to be great, we're going to be fine, bury our head in the sand. No. It's just about saying, where are we at? Winter's a great season. In fact, winter is the season that more millionaires are made. So if you look at the John Paul Gettys, you look at any of the major wealth barons in the world, is that they made their wealth, their millionaires and billionaires were all made in the season of winter. So now's the time, now's the best time to be getting into business and doing these sorts of activities, what we're doing today, and learning about how to understand your numbers better, because as things turn, as they will, you'll be in the best position to maximize that growth. And so that's my message to you. Are you going to be ready for that next wave? When that next wave comes and the change, and when that dip comes, what are you doing now to prepare yourself for that? And what are you doing yourself to lead you out of that so you maximize that growth wave? So my question is, a lot of people ask, okay, that's all great, David, you told me that, but that's all cool. Where do I start? The first place to start is to know the rules of the game. If you're going to go play cricket, you've got the silly mid on, you've got your wicket keeper, you've got all these other crazy, and you got even the names that your wrongans and your I don't even know all the cricket names, but when you're going to go play a game, you got to know the language of the game. We've got a lot of rugby union and rugby league that's happening at the moment, but there's a whole heap of different positions in that. You've got your dummy half, you've got your hooker, you've got a prop, you've got a halfback, you've got a fullback, you've got a winger. We could be talking about anything here. Unless you know the language of the game, it becomes very difficult to know how to play the game. So what I wanted to do today is to just let you know what that language is. So we've just quickly done a little bit about setting the scene. Hopefully that's been a bit of a wake-up call for you to go, wow, I need to actually do something. I need to make some changes, or I need to start focusing and realize that I need to prepare myself for what is going to continue to be more of a winter. What we're going to do now is I'm going to go through the 3 master dials. And these 3 master dials are the dials that you need to know to fly your jet fighter of a business. Some of the pilots that we've got on board that are online at the moment, some people I know who've done some flying before, you'll know what this is. This is the cockpit for the Cessna 152. Now the Cessna is a cool plane, and if you just look at the dials that are there, have a look at what's sitting there. It's pretty basic, but this is what if you're going to learn to fly, this is going to be what you're going to learn to fly on. It's a training plane, and what you can see, if you've see what I've written up at the top, it's called VFR. So when you're learning to fly and you're flying one of these Cessnas, you get to fly VFR. VFR stands for visual flight rules. Visual flight rules. In other words, it means you can fly around when you have clear sky. It means wherever you can see, then you can fly. So if you're flying around and you can see clearly, then you're able to come up and see what other planes are going around, or the other landing strips or buildings. The challenge is what happens when there's a storm. So when we have a storm, we have clouds come in. Are you allowed to fly? And the answer is no. In VFR running this, you don't, because you've got very basic instruments. So you've got to fly through visual through your eyes. A lot of people I see in their businesses are flying their businesses through visual flight rules. In other words, they look at their bank balance and they go, oh, there's enough money in there, I should be fine. Or they look at it and they go, oh, there's not enough money, there's going to be a problem. Unfortunately, and I've spoke to a lot of people recently who have got their taxes done. And they get their tax done and they look at their profit and loss and they go, wow, my profit and loss says that I've made all this money and geez, I've got to pay this tax in it. And then they look at their bank and go, but like, where's the money gone? It's it's not in my bank account. Well, if that's you, and if you're hearing this message, and like I said, I've got a lot of friends, family, colleagues, and people that are listening to this webinar now. I really want to encourage you to know that there is a dip that's coming up. You need to prepare yourself, and you can't fly by visual flight rules anymore. Where I want to take you is to fly through IFR. Now this here, what you look in front of you, this is the cockpit for NASA's Atlantis space shuttle. Now have a look at the dials that are in this beast. There is a truckload of dials. There's a truckload of data that's sitting here. When you've got one of these beasts, you can fly by IFR, and IFR stands for instrument flight rules, which basically means if you go through cloud, you can go through cloud. In fact, when they do training on these or jumbo jets or any instrument flight rule training, they actually cover the whole screen up. So you basically can't see anything that anything that's actually coming out at you. Everything's totally blacked in, but you can fly the plane and you can take it off. You can land it, no dramas at all. So my question to you is, a lot of people are going to be heading into cloud. A lot of people are going to be heading into some troubled times. There are troubled times that are coming up. Are you prepared for that? And when I speak to most business owners, they're not. The first thing we need to look at is the language. And thanks, Jules. Jules has written in here and said woohoo. So I agree too. This is totally woohoo stuff. So my goal is, I'm not a finance guy, would you believe? I'm not someone who's big at accountant and love all that. But I've made myself learn this. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to take it through with you in the most simplest and easiest way, because I don't want you doing this. I don't want you doing this. I don't want you burying your head in the sand and thinking everything's going to be okay, because that's just going to be one of the 900 that are the roadkill, that are businesses that are going bust at the moment. And they're not just small businesses. Medium-sized businesses are doing the same thing as well. One of my heroes is a awesome dude called Warren Buffett. Some of you may know him. I don't know if he is right this moment, but certainly at one point in the last handful of years, he was the richest man in the world. He's certainly in the top 3 or 4. One of his famous sayings is, if you can't read the scoreboard, you don't know the score. And if you don't know the score, you can't tell the winners from the losers. So what's absolutely critical is that we help you read the scoreboard. What I'm going to go through with you today is a lot of stuff I learned from this fella here. Most people do not know who this guy is, but you will know the book on the left-hand side called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It was written by Robert Kiyosaki. And essentially the story is, his poor dad was his natural father, who had a PhD and was a university lecturer at the Hawaii University. His rich dad was his best friend's dad, who was a businessman. And he thought very differently, and he was extremely wealthy. Well, the guy that's sitting on the right there is a mentor of mine, and that is the real rich dad. So that is the dude, that is the guy that the book's written about. So I give him full credit for a lot of what I've learnt, and he's absolute gold. So you're kind of hearing it secondhand from the horse's mouth, so to speak. All right, so the 3 master dials. Please, pen and paper, guys. This is not a spectator sport. This session today is absolutely hugely content rich. I'm going to be going through a lot of info. Please, 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 if it's not written down, I'm a big believer that if you don't write it down, it's lost forever. So please grab your pen and paper. I'll just give you a couple seconds to do that, and let you know that these are the 3 master dials that we're going to go through. So grab your pen and paper and please write down. This is hugely, hugely content rich from what I'm going, especially what I'm going forward from here. Okay. 3 master dials: balance sheet, profit and loss, and statement of cash. You may have heard of the first 2. Most people haven't heard of the third. If you've ever bought a business or are going to buy a business, you better damn well know the statement of cash. If you're ever really looking at your business and you've got a manager or you've got someone else in your team, you better know what the statement of cash is. The cool thing about it is it's one of the easiest dials to read, and yet it's such a powerful, powerful, powerful business. Another thing is, if you invest on the stock exchange, you better know how to read a statement of cash. The collapse of many of the large financial institutions in the US, and I won't mention any names, but if you know any companies, Lehman Brothers or anyone like that, if you looked at their statement of cash, you would have seen why that would not have been a business that you would have invested in. And also, these 3 statements for any public listed company can be easily taken offline. So not offline, online. You can grab this information. It's freely available information. Okay, let's get in. Let's get in and talk about the balance sheet. Now, balance sheet, I'm going to take it from a different perspective. I'm so surprised the number of people who do not know what a balance sheet is or do not really look at it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unpack it. I'm going to do it in a way you probably haven't seen before, and I'm going to keep it really simple. Please have your pen and paper ready, because this is a lot of stuff we're going through now. Draw this little box like so. Basically, it's a rectangle with a line down the middle, and then the left-hand side is just one big box. On the right-hand side is 2 equal-sized boxes. All right. So this is a balance sheet. Balance sheet probably done in a different way than what you expect. Okay, on the left-hand side of the balance sheet, we have things and stuff. So I'm using really technical terms here, things and stuff. So I want you for a moment, and anyone who wants to, and I know I actually do have 2 accountants that are actually online now, or former accountants, Donna. So what I'd love you to do, some people while you're thinking about it, is actually throw in the comment section what do you think some of the things are on our things and stuff? When we look at our things and stuff that we have in our business, what are some of the things that you would actually expect to see on there? And I'm going to start unpacking them. So think about for you, when you look at your things and stuff, what's going to be on there? Okay. First one, cash. Cash is on the things and stuff. And that's so cash at hand. Next one is accounts receivable. So what's accounts receivable? And that is, in other words, you've done a sale, you had a sale, and someone owes you money from that sale. So that's your accounts receivable, Our inventory or stock. So, you know, I work with a lot of restaurants, and the restaurants, you know, they'll have a lot of food and the like, they'll be in that area. I also work with some retail outlets, and they have a lot of homewares and the like. That's all part of your inventory and your stock. Then you've got your property, plant, and equipment. So, you know, if you're running, a construction company, you've got, you know, bobcats and like, they'll be in that area there. You know, if you're professional services, you're probably not going to have a hell of a lot of inventory and stock. And as far as property, plant, and equipment, it'll probably just be something like your computer. So, you know, that's where the property, plant, and equipment fit. Depreciation. So I ask a lot of people what depreciation actually means. If anyone wants to jump online and write a little comment of what they believe depreciation to be, I'd be very keen to see what you'd say about that. And I'm just going to give everyone a little bit of a chance if anyone wants to write a little note on there. Depreciation, and then the next one there is amortization. So if you're thinking, what is depreciation? Depreciation, have we got any takers there? No one's game. Ooh, no one's game to put anything down. Depreciation is a devaluing of a tangible asset. Let me say that again. It's a devaluing of a tangible asset. If you buy a motor car or buy a brand new computer, you know, of a decent sort of value, what you'll find is your accountant will then depreciate that over a series of years and go, it's a devaluing of that goods. If you own property, you buy a brand new house, the house on there will depreciation. So it's a devaluing of a tangible asset. Amortization, on the other hand, is a devaluing of a non-tangible asset. So I don't want you. What my plan with this today is to make this so simple. You go, yeah, cool, I get that. So that's the stuff on your left-hand side of your balance sheet. That's your things and stuff. Let's move on to the right-hand side now. On the right-hand side, we've got stuff that we owe. In the stuff that we owe, to keep it really, really simple, when you look at your balance sheet, there are only three things in that area. There's stuff that we owe to our clients, and that's called our accounts payable. So that's accounts so we owe our clients or vendors that we supply to. We owe them money. So that's where we owe. Next thing we owe is taxes. So this is money that we owe to a government or state organisation. So taxes payable. That's the second one. And the third one are notes payable. So that's banks. So that's money we owe our banks. So when you look at the stuff that you owe, it's only going to fit into three different brackets. Accounts payable, money we owe our client. Taxes payable, money we owe the government. And the third thing, notes payable. In other words, that's money we owe the bank. That's it, guys, that's it. Left-hand side, things and stuff. Top right-hand side is stuff that we owe, The last column on here is stuff that we own, And in the actually, I've just had someone pop a question. Jules asked a question, what's amortization? So amortization is a devaluing of a non-tangible asset. So a non-tangible asset could be something like intellectual property. It could be, for For example, if you buy a franchise and you have a license and you have, say, a 10-year license, and then at the end of the 10 years, you have to renew that. So by the time you get to the 8th or 9th year, it's got to have to be renewed for another lump sum of money. So the value of that has depreciated over time. So hopefully that's helped you out on that one, mate. But good question. So anyone that's got any question, Jules, thanks for answering that one. That was a top one. Oh yeah, okay. There's a couple other questions there. Or goodwill, cool. So on stuff that we own, there are basically just a couple of categories in that area as well. We've got stuff that we own. We got our owner's earnings. So when you look at the end of the year and what's in your profit and loss, you're going to have earnings, and the earnings can be broken up into two different categories. There's current earnings. So that's this fiscal year, this financial year. They're the current earnings that the business has earned for the owner. Then you've got your retained earnings. So retained earning is okay. We get $100 that we've made through through the earnings for that fiscal year, but we want to keep 30 of those dollars in the business for future growth. So that $30 would stay in there as retained earnings. But essentially, just keep it real simple. We've got owner's earnings. That's in the stuff that we owe. And the next thing is investments made. So often, a lot of people, when they start a business, they might have to put in like 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand of their own money. And then eventually the business, when it becomes profitable, can pay them back. That's actually parts of what they owe. So guys, when you look at that there, it's really, we want to keep that, really, really simple. Left-hand side is things and stuff. Right-hand side is what you owe plus you own. And there's been a few questions. I'll come to some of those questions. I'll probably, a lot of them will be answered in this next bit. Things and stuff, otherwise known as your assets. Your assets. On the right-hand side, so the left-hand side, things and stuff, your assets, need to equal your right-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you have stuff that you owe plus what you own. This seems so simple. The truth is, I see so many people, and even accountants I see do this. I can't tell you the number of clients I see that their books don't balance. And by that, when I look at their books and I do their first analysis, and I go, what are your liabilities plus your equity, and does that equal your assets? The number of times that I look at that and I see that and it's wrong and they don't balance. So first things first, go back and have a look at your balance sheet the last financial year. Have a look and check, do your assets equal what your liabilities plus does that equal your liabilities plus your equity? So that's basically a simple balance sheet. All right, just draw a little line under that because there's a couple more points I want to make on this. When you look at a balance sheet, let's get it into perspective. Everything that happens in a business, ultimately you will see on a balance sheet. What you want to understand though is how does it actually work? Like what are the three major points for the balance sheet to understand? Okay, the first one is this. The balance sheet is fact. The balance sheet is fact. What you see on the balance sheet as of that date, if you look at a balance sheet, say as of the 30th of June 2013, the balance sheet, balance sheet will be whatever it ends up being. It is fact. That is a fact. But it is a snapshot in time. It's like taking a photograph of your business at any particular time. It's a snapshot in time. So it's a snapshot in time. And the last thing, or the next thing on that is, it's a worldview. It's a worldview. In other words, when I'm saying a worldview, is it doesn't go through every single transaction that occurred over the period or at that particular time. It gives us a snapshot, it's fact, and it gives us like the summary of what's actually happened. So it gives us a worldview. So balance sheet, just remember, it's fact, it's a snapshot in time, and it's a worldview. So that's the balance sheet. They're the elements. And I'll wrap this up when I come to the next bit and I'll bring them all together. And I've got a few questions that people ask and I'm going to do my best to answer those as quick as I can. Accounts payable is suppliers, accounts payables. Yes, so Stephen, yes, that can be suppliers. So they're people that you owe money to. Absolutely, that's right. Clients are customers who owe us money. Correct. So people who owe you money, so spot on with that. And Chris Rand, would franchising fee licensing be owing Vox? Mate, so it depends on how your accountant wants to do that. To answer your question, easier to probably take that one offline, but essentially it can actually be on there. It can, but it's also an asset. So Chris has asked about franchising fees. What you'll remember when I went through the balance sheet, I'm not going to go back on the page, I'll do that in a moment, is the left-hand side needs to equal the right-hand side. So if we make a change on the left, we need to see a change on the right. So it's called a balance sheet for a reason. There are some other situations where it can just change on the left, but I only say on the left. But just for the simplicity of today, if you make a change on one side, in other words, on the things and stuff, we need to see an equal change either in what we owe and or in what we own. So hopefully that answers that question for you. All right, so that's a balance sheet. That's our first style. That's our first style that you need to make sure you need to master. And I'm going to summarize this when we come in. All right, profit and loss. This is the one that everyone looks at. Everyone looks at and they go, wow, this is really cool. But I'm going to demystify a few things on here. We're going to go through it. And then I'm going to, at the end, I'm going to give you 3 more points on a profit and loss. Absolute imperative for you to understand one particular point in this. All right, think about your profit and loss. What are you looking at? What are you actually seeing when you look at your profit and loss? So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do now is just take through the overview of what a profit and loss actually looks like as well. Okay, so the profit and loss. When you look at profit and loss, in essence, you've got sales on your top line. So your sales is is any of your income or your turnover, your top line. That's the first bit you see on your profit and loss. Then you minus, and this is where the language becomes really interesting. You hear accountants use, and a lot of people use lots of different words to mean the same thing. So you've got your sales, then you minus your cost of goods sold, otherwise known as cost of sale, or otherwise known as your variable expenses, Then we're going to take away our fixed expenses, So I see a lot of people get really confused on this, and it's actually quite simple when you know the kind of the rules behind it. Very simply, variable expenses. Easiest way to think of variable expenses: if you doubled your sales, in other words, if you doubled your revenue, if you doubled that there, what are the expenses that would double or increase proportionally to how much your sales would increase by? So if you're a retail outlet and you double your sales, well, you're going to have to buy more. One of my clients is in homeware, so you have to buy a lot more homewares. If, for example, just pretend you've got most of you have probably got a pen in your hand. And if you look at the pen, you've got if it's a little, I've got like a little multicolor pen. With the pen, you've got like the white barrel. You've got a lid. I've got a little lid on my pen, and I've got the ink that's inside. So if I sell more of these pens, I need to go and get more from my suppliers. I need to get more lids, I need to get more barrels, and I need to get more ink. So as my sales increase, I need to get more of these parts to put together to sell more of those. That is a variable expense. Fixed expenses are the ones that don't change based necessarily on your sales. Now, this is where people get confused because they go, oh my God, my electricity bill's just gone up, and I now have to pay my wages a little bit higher for my admin staff, so my non-sales staff. Is that cost of goods sold? No. Your fixed expenses are things like electricity, your rent. It could be your internet fees, insurances, even those things. That's what you fit into your fixed expenses category. I know it sounds simple, that even though they're called fixed expenses or expenses, they actually can move, and that's where people get a bit confused. But just remember, if it's directly related to you making more sales, And let's say if you're in professional services, let's say you've got um, some sort of professional services and you've got a whole, you double the number of clients that have come on board, and you need to bring someone on board maybe temporarily. So you come in and they come in for a project to work on your business and help you get through the influx of new patients or new clients. That would you could argue that, even though a lot of people put that in fixed expenses, I would probably say that that's probably something you could put into cost of sale, because it's an increase based on the turnover that the sales you're doing. So just understand, sales minus expenses gives you a thing called your EBITDA. Now, a lot of people start to switch off when they see this. This is really very, very simple. Your EBITDA is an acronym, and it stands for, just have your pen and paper ready, earnings before interest. So if you look at the acronym, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. If we then go and subtract the interest, and remember the interest is the I out of the EBITDA, and then we subtract depreciation, which is, you're looking at here, is the D. So that's the D out of EBITDA. And then we subtract the A. We then subtract A for amortization. We're left with, we take out the I, we take out the D, and we take out the A, and we get a thing called our EBIT. So a lot of people get confused on this, but all we do is just taking those out, and then if we then take the taxes out, we're then left with our earnings before, our earnings, or otherwise known as our net income. So that's all it is, guys. It's really quite simple. When you look at your numbers, you just got to know which one you're looking at. Your earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization is pretty simple. Okay, that's all it is. It's your earnings before you take off your interest, tax, interest, depreciation, amortization, and EBT, which you'll hear some people talk about, is your earnings before tax. Another way to look at it, I heard someone say, is your EBITDA is pretty much the money that comes to you before you pay taxes and before your accountant and your bookkeeper will start fiddling with the numbers and helping you, to minimise your tax legally. So that's your earnings, or otherwise called your net income. All right, so with a profit and loss, again, there are three important things to understand about a profit and loss. The first one to understand is that profit and loss is a theory. It is a theory. What you see in your profit and loss is not fact. Let me make this very clear. This is where most people come unstuck. It is, like little Albert Einstein there, it is a theory. It is a theory. What you see in your profit and loss is a theory. It's also a movie, as opposed to the balance sheet, which was a snapshot in time. The profit and loss is a movie. It tells a story. So if you look at your profit and loss, it'll have all the entries from the, if you're doing it monthly, it'll have from the first of the month to the end of the month, the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 8th, 9th, 12th, 23rd, whatever that is. It tells a story of what actually occurred over the time period, or whatever the time period your profit and loss is showing. And it's also compared to the balance sheet. Balance sheet was a worldview. With a profit and loss, so balance sheet is a worldview. A profit and loss is a detailed map. It is a street map. So it's much more detailed. It gives us much more granularity in the transactions that's actually occurred. So balance sheet was fact. Balance sheet was a snapshot in time. A balance sheet was a worldview. The profit and loss, on the other hand, is a theory. It is a theory. It is also a movie, so it gives you it tells a story over a period of time, and it gives the granularity of the street view, not the world map. So they're the 3 points to know with a profit and loss. And I'm going to bring all these together. I'll bring all these together towards the end with one of these slides, so you can see them all come together. But you need to know that the building blocks first. Okay. So we've covered the balance sheet, we've gone through profit and loss, now we're going through the third master dial of your business, the statement of cash flow. Poorly understood and yet such a powerful tool. Statement of cash is a very, very simple document, and it doesn't have a hell of a lot in it. What it will do, when you look at a statement of cash, it will have beginning cash. So whatever the time period is, it'll have the beginning cash at the beginning of that time period. Then over the time period, in other words, like the profit and loss, like a movie, there are things that are going to occur that are going to increase your cash or decrease the cash So what are those things? What's going to increase your cash? Well, the first thing you should be saying is operating cash flow. Now, guys, cash is king. The name of the game, the whole thing that we're on about is increasing your operating cash flow. And this is, the operating cash flow is different from what your profit and loss says. That is theory, this is fact. So operating cash flow is the money that's hit your bank account over that period of time. So OCF is what we're looking for. That's the big game. That's what we're looking for. So your beginning cash is going to increase or decrease. And what we've just seen at the very beginning, there are 900 companies that went bust, and that's because they weren't doing this. They weren't making money. Then we've got investment cash flow. Investment cash flow is if you buy and sell something. So if you go and buy, a new Bobcat or a great big new computer or something like that, you're going to be buying something, so your cash is going to decrease from that. Or if you sell some of your stock, or if you sell, like one of my clients is an engineer, and so they've got a lot of stock on hand, so we're selling heaps of that stock that they don't need to keep on the shelf. Next thing is financing cash flow, and financing cash flow, you go and get a loan, okay, or you pay off a loan. So that's going to affect your financing. That's going to affect your cash flow. So that's it, guys. There's just 3 different elements: operating cash flow, investing cash flow, and financing cash flow. And that gives you your ending cash. Start with the beginning cash, and over a period of time, you go through, you do all your transactions, and then you end up with the ending cash. That's a statement of cash flow. And when you get one, it doesn't look pretty much looks exactly what you're seeing on the screen, with just, hardly any changes. Okay, 3 points again with the statement of cash flow, bringing them all together. Statement of cash flow, it is fact. So a balance sheet is fact, a statement of cash flow is fact. Second point is it's a worldview, just like I did on that picture beforehand. It didn't go through every single transaction. It went through the big picture. What are the major things that have actually moved here? Operating cash flow, investing cash flow, and financing cash flow. And the third thing is it's a movie. It's a movie because what it does is it said the beginning cash as of this date, the 1st of January, and then the ending cash as of a certain period of time. So it's telling us what happened over the time frame. It's a movie, whereas a balance sheet is a snapshot in time. So that's the statement of cash. Now, this is a absolutely critical tool if you're looking at buying a business. Please get a statement of cash. One of my guys, we're going to buy a business, and it was looking good. And I said to them, let's look at a statement of cash. Let's get them. They reluctantly, the owner gave us the statement of cash. And what we saw was the cash flow in the balance sheet had increased. But when we looked at the statement of cash flow, what we'd actually noticed was they were selling off heaps of stock. So they were selling off their stock, so their cash was increasing, but when we looked at their OCF, their operating cash flow was going down. In other words, the business was losing money, but they were selling their stock. And that, my friends, that's a river that's going nowhere. That's something that's that's an edge that's going to that people are going to fall off. So we didn't invest in. We didn't end up buying that company. So just a really important. It's a really critical document. How do we bring all these together? Okay. This is how it looks. This is how you pull these 3 documents together. You have a beginning balance sheet. So the balance sheet, remember, it's a snapshot in time. It'll say as of a date. So for this example here, as of January 1, 2012. It's a world atlas, so it gives us the big picture of where we're at, and it's fact. It is fact. Then we have our profit and loss. Our profit and loss now tells us the story from the 1st of January, and this one here is a quarterly one, to the 31st of March. So it's going to tell us the movie. It's telling us a movie over that period of all the things that have actually occurred. And it says, And we know that because it says for the period of. It gives us a detail, so it's actually giving us the street map. It's giving us a street map, but it's a theory. When people look at their profit and loss at the end of the financial year, they go, "Man, it's telling me, I made $250,000," and I look at their bank balance and go, "Why? Well, that doesn't make sense." I'm going to show you why that doesn't make sense. That's because people don't necessarily pay you just because you made the sale. You make the sale and there's 30 days end of the month. Or if I've got some clients who have some big contracts with major shopping centres, or I won't mention any names, but they pay 90 days at the end of the month. So, people are waiting. They've made the sale and their profit and loss says they've made a sale, but they're still waiting on their money. Okay, so that's a profit and loss. Then we have a statement of cash flow. The statement of cash flow, again, it's a movie. As you see at the top there, it says for the 3 months of January. So the first to the 31st of March, it's telling us it's over a time period. It's a movie. It's a street map because it gives us more detail. It tells us about the operating cash flow. It talks about the financing cash flow and investing cash flow. And it's fact. What is in the statement of cash flow is fact. It really did happen. And the next thing is the ending balance sheet. So the ending balance sheet, so you've got the starting balance sheet, and then over the period, this is for a quarter, you're then going to be trading. You're going to be going through trading in your business, and then you're going to see how well you actually traded. And then you get your ending balance sheet. Now, the ending balance sheet is like your scorecard. We're playing footy or netball or whatever it ends up being. Our ultimate scorecard is how did we actually go? Did we increase in our things and stuff? Did we increase in what we owe? What we own? Did we decrease the stuff that we owe? So it's a critical tool that most people don't have a look at. So here's another thing. If you want to check how your bookkeeper or your accountant are actually putting all this together, this is how it looks. If you look at this thing here, what's this? You drew it right at the very beginning. It's a balance sheet. So in a balance sheet, I'm going to just do a summary version here. You've got your assets, accounts receivable, inventory, property, plant, and equipment. There are more in there, but we'll just keep it simple for now. Then you've got your liabilities, which is stuff. On the left-hand side, assets is things and stuff. Our right-hand side is stuff is what we owe, And in that area, we've got three things: accounts payable, taxes payable, and notes payable. Then we've got the stuff that we own, otherwise called our equity. In that there we have our own investment and then the earnings. So the current earnings, and then you also have retained earnings. So for example, on this balance sheet, to keep it simple, in our balance sheet, it's saying we've got $75,000 of cash, and over that period, we've made $50 worth of profit. Okay, this here is our income statement. Essentially, this is a summary version. The sales revenue, or in other words, our turnover, minus all our expenses, our variable or cost of goods sold or cost of sale, and our fixed expenses, our rent, our electricity bills, those sorts of things, those expenses. We take all our expenses away, we're left with our earnings. You'll notice that if you look at your earnings in your income statement, or your profit income statement is another way of saying a profit and loss, you should see that in your balance sheet. So quick check, go in and you've just done your finances, have a look and make sure that your current earnings equals on your profit and loss equals what's on your current earnings in your balance sheet. I said there's a third document. Third document is the cash flow statement, or statement of cash flow. Beginning cash, plus or minus operating cash, or OCF, investing cash flow, minus financing cash flow. You end up with your ending cash. So your ending cash in your cash flow statement, guess where you see that? That sits in your assets. So that's why I'm saying that whatever happens in your business, you'll be able to see that in your balance sheet. It's such an important tool. So go in and check this. It's a good way to double check that, one, your books are being done properly, but it's also, if you're looking at businesses or looking to buy business, you need to understand how they work together. So guys, this is the three dials that are absolutely imperative to understand in your controlling and taking control of your business. So what we've done so far, we've talked about setting the scene, I've talked about the economic climate. We've also talked about the three master dials. and at the end I'll show you how they actually come together. And I know I went through things fairly quickly on that. If you've got any more questions, please let me know. And a question from Sandra: How do you get a statement of cash flow from MYOB? Sandra asking how do you get that from MYOB? I have got absolutely no idea. I'm not a bookkeeper, and I don't use MYOB. I just get my bookkeeper to do it. I use Xero, and it's usually a lot easier to pull those off. But that should be that's a stock standard, pretty simple thing that should be able to be done, Sandra. But good question. So thank you for asking that. So I appreciate you asking that one. The next thing I talked about was the 5 cash generating levers. Now all this is interrelated. It all sort of comes together. The 5 cash generating levers. This is taking the complexity out of business. What is the key to business? What is the key driver? What is the key thing to business? And that is cash. Cash is the oxygen for the business. So you've got to know, how can I keep the cash flow or operating cash flow coming through my business as fast as I possibly can, or as much as I possibly can? Because without the cash, a business suffocates. I grew up in the building industry. I've worked with builders and coaching and working with them. And you only have to look around Brisbane, look at Sunshine Coast, you have to see the number of builders that have gone bust, like big boys. And the thing is, they're making sales. They're making a lot of sales. And usually with houses, it's big dollars. But what happens is people don't pay them. And the number of people go bankrupt because they're waiting to get paid. Their profit and loss looks great. It says they've made all this money, but unfortunately, what happens is they don't get paid, so there's no cash. So what I wanted to show you now is what are the tools, what are the 5 levers you'll go to generate more cash. Okay, 5 levers. My little acronym that I created is called SERPy. One is, okay, I need to have more operating cash. I need to increase my sales. Second thing, you want to increase the cash that's in your bank, your operating cash flow. This is all about operating cash flow, OCF. This is cash you see in the bank. Next thing is to decrease expenses. Now, I'm not going to spend this presentation today is not about sales, not about expenses. I do that in other seminars and other presentations. But just know they're 2 of the levers that are important. What I am going to spend a bit more time on are these next 3. Receivable days. So what's receivable days? So you make a sale, it's how long it takes for your clients or the people that owe you money to pay you. How many days, when you've done the work for someone, how many days does it take for them to pay you? That's the receivable, how many days it takes for you to receive the cash. The next one is payable days. How long does it take for you to pay your bills? How long does it take for you to pay your bills? Or how many days, should I say, does it take you to pay your bills? And the last one is inventory days. Inventory days is really simple. It's like, that's basically how long does your stock stay on shelf. Now, for a lot of, if you're in professional services, you're probably going to have very little in inventory anyway, so it's not going to be that relevant. However, I do work with a lot of engineering companies and people who do have a lot of stock, and they have a hell of a lot of inventory. So inventory days is absolutely gold to know what that is. So these are the 5 cash generating levers. What I wanted to do now, guys, I've got something that that I'm very excited about. So I do a lot of stuff with Westpac Bank, and I've got something that is very cool that I wanted to share with you. I'm going to come back to the 5 levers. I'm going to show you exactly how you can make a lot more cash in a moment. And this is the gold that I'm going to finish up, but I just want to do a little bit of an interlude in here. I've got something special that I have for you. What I've done is I've seen a lot of people that are struggling getting their head around a lot of this, and what I've done today is a bit of a top level kind of view of things. What I want to do is do a deep dive for you and give you a lot of info, because what I find is when people don't have the some more granularity, that some of the more details and a little bit more on the how-to, they don't know how to act. And my big thing now is with the shift that's happening in the economy, you need to know how to act. You need to know what's coming out. So what I'm doing is I have a business accelerator program that I'm doing. It's a 1-day event. It's on Friday, the 25th of October at the Mantra Hotel in Brisbane City. It is going to be a cracker of a day. Basically, what I'm doing is pooling all the coolest stuff that is happening right now in the world, and I'm putting it together in one day. It's a very content, like you've seen today, massively content rich. You're going to have huge things. I'm the only speaker that will be speaking there. There's no pitch fest. There's none of that. This is like pure training. I'm doing this for my clients, and particularly what I'm doing this for. Well, actually, let me go through a little bit more. Here are the major topics that I'm actually going to be going through. I'm going to go through the most up-to-the-minute marketing strategies, especially online, that are going to bring a flood of clients to your door, and not going to cost you a fortune. I see people wasting a lot of money on marketing they just do not need to be doing. This is stuff that costs you nothing, or very, very little. And make sure that we now position you so you never have to compete on price, and how to stand out from your competition elegantly, and so you can elegantly make sales. I see a lot of people struggle making sales, and that's because they're selling to people that aren't pre-sold. So we're going to help you not have to do that, so you can really enjoy the sales process and have people beating down your door. Next thing is how to have raving fan customers that keep coming back, and also have stacks of referrals from them as well. So marketing sales, we're going to go through a hell of a lot on that. I'm also going to take you through how to leverage your business and show you how you can automate a lot of your income, and some of the hidden assets in your business, and it's not what you think. A lot of people think they know what this is, but it's not what you think. I'm also going to go through and help you take out a lot of the headaches in your business, and how to recruit and retrain staff or your team that are as loyal and passionate as you are about your business. I'm doing a hell of a lot of work with this with my clients at the moment. We're doing a lot of recruiting at the moment. Their businesses are growing. We're doing a lot of recruiting for salespeople, particularly as well. And what I've done is formulate a way how you can actually see the DNA of exactly who you need to employ. And the ad we put out there is not some generic ad. It tells exactly what we need, and then we assess them. So we know exactly the person that comes in. We know the exact DNA, and we benchmark it. So we know we never get someone that's a dud. That is making my clients a lot of money. That one thing alone is worth you coming for the day. I'm also going to help you develop an exit strategy and the 5 sources of value and how to maximize them. We're also going to go through a little bit more on the numbers. Like today is just an hour going through a little bit of content on numbers, but I'm going to go through in even more detail and give you more specifics on the numbers. And I'm going to go through and talk to you more about the 3 dials. We've done that today. I'm going to go through and do a bit more of a deep dive on that as well. I'm also going to show you how to increase your cash at bank, which I'm going to do in a moment as well. I'm going to show you other ways how to do that. And also what your accountant never told you, practical info that you can get from your financial statements in less than an hour a month. So you should be able to get unbelievable detailed information from your financial records in less than an hour. In fact, it should take you about 25 minutes max, and you'll know exactly what's going on in your business. So instead of your business controlling you, you can now start to take control of it. Okay, so you're probably wondering, okay, well, what's the catch? What's going to cost? One ticket to the Business Accelerator program is $997, or pretty much $1,000. And it is absolutely worth every single penny. Like, you are going to get an absolute huge amount out of it. Like I said, it's at the Mantra Hotel in Brisbane on 25th of October. It's a big day. It starts at 8:30 and we're going to finish at 5:30, so it's a big day. However, you're my friends, my family, and colleagues that are listening to this. I have something that is unbelievably I'm super excited about. I have said I do a lot of work with Westpac Bank, and Westpac Bank have very, very kindly, if you've seen what they're doing in the press at the moment, they're doing a lot of work with small and medium-sized enterprises. So what they have done is they are sponsoring the event. Yes, they are sponsoring the event. So what that means to you is that they're covering the cost of putting on the seminar and everything, is that you get a free ticket. So for you guys that are online right now, you have a free ticket to come along to my one-day event. It is worth absolutely $997. You're going to get an absolute tremendous amount of info, and there's an absolute lot of gold. If you go to and have a look at, should be in a moment, and I'll put it in here. If you actually go in, and in a moment, Kim, my PA, is going to put in a note if you go into your on your GoToWebinar panel, in the section down the bottom, there's going to be something that's going to pop up, and it's going to be pop up that's going to show you where you can go in and register. So if you go in and actually have a register on that, it should be coming up in a moment. I can't see it coming up on mine, but I'm going to put it in here now. So what it is businessacceleratorprogram.com.au, and it's VIP offer. So I'm going to send this to all of you. So everyone should get a copy. So hopefully I did that fairly quickly there. I'm also going to send you I'll send you an email with the link as well. So you can get on there and register now if you want to. There's going to be there's a sales letter page on there. Just to let you know, that is a VIP offer. That is free for you to attend. If you just go on there and just scroll down, you can actually get in there and register for that. So what's going to happen then is register via the link. Second thing is confirmation email. You're going to get a confirmation email from us saying, giving you all the details, the time, the events. Now, I know that there are people that are interstate, and that might be a long way for them to come. It is definitely going to be worth you coming along for that day. And like I said, Westpac is sponsoring it, so it's going to be a freebie event for you. And it is going to be absolutely worth your while. If you've got any issues with travel or transport, please let us know. We're happy to help you out as much as we possibly can. We're not going to pay for that for you. You'll need to do that. But it'll be an absolute goal for you to come along to that on the 25th of October. Alrighty. So let's get in and talk about how you can get more cash. Like I said, at the moment, I want to show you how you can generate more cash in your bank without making extra sales. This here is an income statement in a software that I call the CFO Scoreboard. It's what Rich Dad gave me to use. And this here is the income statement. You'll see there's revenue, operating expenses, other expenses, taxes, and our net income. So you can see the EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, and depreciation. We take those out. We're then left with our EBT, our earnings before tax, and then our net income. So these are real numbers here. This is real numbers from it for a business. And this is the balance sheet. We have our assets. We have our total assets down the bottom for this time period. And then we have the liabilities. And then we have the equity. And the total equity plus the liabilities. So if you look at the number down the bottom, and let's do the last quarter here, 451,900. That needs to equal our total assets. So just know that this is it. You don't need to study this. I just want to show you one of the tools that I use. Now, this is the important bits. Now, please listen up, and this is where you're going to take some real good oil for your business. What I do in this piece of software, this CFO Scoreboard, is do what-if scenarios. So what I'm looking at here, if you have a look at it, it's actually divided into 3 sections. The first one up here is this light green here, goes all the way across. That's cash flow from operations. In other words, OCF, operating cash flow. The next section here is net income. Net income is what you see in your profit and loss, on your profit and loss. So this is all the information you see in profit and loss. And down here is some other number crunching that we do. And this whole section down the bottom here, you don't need to know all those numbers right now, although they are important numbers, but basically we're looking at our return on our assets that we're looking here. What I wanted to draw your attention to is in the top section where it says cash flow from operations. What you'll see is, how do we generate more cash? How do we get more cash at bank? And there are 3 levers that we can use. There are 5 levers. We can increase our sales, we can decrease our expenses, but without increasing sales, how do we affect our operating cash flow? And there are the three of those levers will do that. One is receivable days, one is inventory days, and the next is payable days. So we want to decrease our receivable days. In other words, we want to make it as short as possible from when we make a sale to when people pay us. We then look at our inventory days. We want to have the stuff on stock on the shelf as short a time as possible. And the last one is payable days. We want to make that as short as possible. Long as possible. We want to increase that. Now, that's not saying you do things illegal or anything like that. What that's saying is come to some terms. One of my clients is a foundry, has a lot of they buy a lot of their metals or alloys that they cast, and so they then spoke to them and said, look, rather than paying you 30 days in a month, can we pay you 45 days? So they get an extra 15 days. What that means over the years, they get an extra 6 months worth of holding their money, which is a huge deal. So these are three things. What I want to draw your attention to here is now the software here. On the cash flow from operations, you look at this year, this is 2003, so it's years ago, but it's still relevant. The fact is exactly what really occurred. The what if, I'm going to make some changes to the receivable days, inventory days, and payable days, and what you can do is have a look at the what if and see what changes that makes. So let's come across now to and just show you what difference. If we now look at that and go, right, we have a concerted campaign over the next quarter or the next year to reduce that. And let's go back to what it was. Let's now have a real focus to take that back to 12 days. What does that do to our money? So this is what it does. Please have a look at this. We take all I've done is remove the receivable days. We've now had a campaign to work on that. We've said early bird payments, or we've got a admin person who's on to the invoices, making sure they get sent out quickly and people are paying quickly. Look at what it does. This is cash at bank. We've gone from negative 28,000, which is the fact. That's what actually occurred by just moving the receivable days from 40 days back to 12. What that does is that has put $146,000 in the bank. In other words, that's an extra $170,000 odd dollars better off than what they were. But if you have a look down at the net income, which is directly below, what the profit and loss says that there was only $12,000 profit made. The fact is that there was negative 28,000. This is why the profit and loss is theory, because it doesn't tell you what actually occurred in the bank balance. The bank balance is saying I'm actually now in the negative. In other words, I'm now in in my loans or my line of credit by just moving your receivable days. So homework for you. Please check your receivable days. What do you need to do to reduce those receivable days? And on the one-day seminar, I'm going to be going through some more strategies on how to do that. So let's go. Okay, that's one area we're going to focus on. Have we made any extra sales? No. Our sales figure, which is down the bottom here for this quarter, has stayed the same. It's 1.125 million. Let's take it to the next step. Let's say we now also work on our inventory days. Our inventory days, if you noticed before, was 76 days. In other words, our days were increasing. I went from originally 70 days to 76. We now bring that down to 70 days, what it used to be. And look what it does to our what if. In other words, this is what we would see in our bank balance. We now have $175,000. Guys, listen up. We haven't made any more sales. All we've done is focused on two areas. Receivable days, reduced to what it used to be. Inventory days, reduced that to what it used to be. And now we've got over $200,000 more better off than what we were when we were in our fact. This is cash at bank. Sales haven't changed. And then look at our payable days. Now, in this business here, their payable days, they used to pay in 10 days. 9.9. So the trend's headed in the correct direction. It's done pretty well. But what I would say here is, well, they went from 10 to 19, so that was an increase of 9 days. Why not, like my clients who literally last month went from 30 days in the month to now 45 days, what if we increase that? What if we and we have an agreement, like it's agreement with our supplier, we go, right, let's do that. We increase that. by, let's say, the same amount, 9 days. What does that look like? What does that do to our what if? We move that by 9 days. In other words, we put it to 28 days now. So in other words, we pay our bills on 28 days, so 4 weeks. That now gives us $217,000 in the bank. Guys, in the bank. In other words, we're $240,000 better off than what we were. And yet our net income hasn't changed. You think, how does that happen? These are the 3 levers. When you know the levers and know how to drive them, this is what you do. Let's show you the difference. There are a lot of marketing people out there, and I'm big fan of marketing, internet marketing, whatever it ends up being, and they're going out, you're telling you how to do all the marketing and blah, blah, and that's great. Well, I'm going to show you why that's not always the best idea. This is the original plan. This is exactly what the client, what they actually had. If we then look at our sales of 1.125 million, and we do not touch our receivable, inventory, or payable days, what if we increase our sales? Great new campaign, new way to do Facebook promotion. So we've got a Facebook promotion that goes on. So we go, well, I get some more sales. And, we're going to now do some banner ads, and we're going to now do some, Google AdWords programs. Let's say we increase another $400,000 worth of sales. So have a look at this here. We add 400,000 in this quarter. We now take it to 1.5 mil. So 400,000. What has that actually done to our net income? So this is going to change our net income because we're increasing our sales. The fact was our profit and loss said that we only made 12,000. Now it's saying we've made 26,000. So there's an improvement. You think about this, we've just added 400,000, but our net income is only 26. What is really scary is just have a look above. Have a look above at the what if for the operating cash flow. If you have a look at what's in the operating cash flow above, it's still a negative 14,000. Have a look at there, 14,000. So you've just made $400,000 worth of sales, and yet you're looking at it and going, there's nothing in my bank. I'm still losing. I'm still on my line of credit. Let's say we get another campaign. You get someone in there. You do some more strategic alliances or joint ventures. You change your website. You do some other campaign, and let's say you increase by another couple 100,000. What does that do? Okay, we're now at 1.7. So we're now added, another $600,000 worth of sales on your business, and yet your what if is only doing 33,000. Your bank balance is still negative 6, so you're still behind the 8 ball. Let's add another couple 100,000. We're now $1.9 million in turnover. We're taken from 1.125 to 1.9. So well over $700,000 increase. Our net income is only $41,000, and woo! Now our bank balance is saying we've almost made $1,000. And this is why I see so many people fall foul. They go out and they try and do marketing, and they actually go out of business quicker because their business hasn't got a lot of important things structured properly. So homework for you today going forward from here. One, register for the seminar, because I'm going to show you more strategies on how to actually do this. But go and check your receivable days, inventory days, and payable days. Decrease them. Put some strategies in place. Receivable days, early bird payments. Making sure that you might get half of your bill up front, and then the half later is going to decrease inventory, decrease receivable days. Inventory days. What sort of stock management? What sort of control are you actually doing? How well are you managing that? How well are you managing your sales team so that you can sell and actually have the stock there just in time? And with your payable days, what sort of terms can you come to with your suppliers? Just focusing on that area can make a massive difference, as you've seen, like over $200,000 not making extra sales. So I've gone through a hell of a lot of stuff, a lot of content in there, guys, a lot of real info. What I wanted to just say, I'll go through this pretty quickly. Basically, the CFO score, that's one of the tools that I use. It basically it's simple. When you know when you've got the right tools, you put the right information in, you can analyze, you can diagnose, and you can see the trends. You can see the changes in your business. When the tough economic climate they're in and also coming up, you need to be able to diagnose and see these changes and nip them in the bud early. So we have gone through a huge amount of stuff. We went through setting the scene and why I believe it's absolutely imperative to not be one of the 900 businesses that go out of business. And now's the season of winter, to start to really understand and really work on this. Then we went through the three master dials, through your balance sheet, your profit and loss, your statement of cash flow. And then I went through the 5 cash generating levers, talked about SERPI, sales, expenses, receivable days, payable days, and inventory days. And how if you need to get more cash in your bank, they're your 5 levers. You just go to those. And what I've said to you is you go through the receivable, payable, and inventory days. That's the quickest way for you to get cash without making extra sales. So huge amount of stuff we've gone through today. I know most people are getting some great info. Some we're getting some cool things. Yep. Okay. Yep. Cool. Thanks. Thank you for the feedback, guys. Appreciate that. That's nice. What I'd say is we've gone through a lot of stuff here. I'd like you to take some notes and put into action at least one thing. Please look at your receivable days. That's probably the first thing. You'll get an email from us with the link to the webinar. It was also on the link that I sent out to you, and also I think Kim may have sent it out as well. So, get on there and g'day Danuta, thanks for saying hello, and if you're saying hello as well. That's the stuff we've gone through on the financial literacy workshop. What I'd like to do is just say I would love you to come along to my one-day training on the 25th of October here in Brisbane. See how I can support you in your business, see how I can show you. Like I said, Westpac is sponsoring it. It is $1,000, well worth it. It's all the good oil that I'm learning from the masters in the world. And what I like to say is go out there, have a fantastic time. Now's the best time to be in business. Season of winter, more millionaires are made now than any other time. Have an absolutely wonderful next couple of weeks. If there's anything I can do to support and help you, please let me know. And look out for the email from us with the link to the one-day workshop. And for those that are interstate, make the travel. I'll do something. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll do something very special for you. Now, this offer, just so you know, is limited. I already have a whole heap of Westpac clients coming in already. So I do actually have limited seats, and it's first in best dress. So I'm not going to hold it open. I've already hired the room, so it's not like it's a massive room. It'll be a fairly small and intimate room, and it's first in best dress. So I want to thank you very much for today and the info. So thanks, Stephen. Thank you for your comments there. Thanks also, Donna. Yeah, cool. Jason, appreciate your feedback, guys. That's cool. Chris, thank you, Chris, as well. Thanks, Chris, mate. You're a tough taskmaster, so that's nice comments from you as well. So, guys, I hope to see you on the 25th of October. Anything I can do to help you out, please let me know. Love you heaps. Go out there and make magic, and go out there and be the amazing business owners you can be. Alrighty, guys. Speak to you soon. Catch you later. Bye for now.